My name is Ahmed Yafei, and I was born in South Yemen in a village named Yafa. That's where I get my last name from, and from a tribe called Sadi. And I joined my dad back in January 1984, who used to be residing in New York City, and I came in there without my mom, and I went to school over there, and then I did not continue. I went into convenience stores that my family still runs and operates until today in New York City. And I did that until about the late 90s, when I decided to drive for a living. I kind of got tired of the 7 days a week, 12 hours a day shift. So my investment, my $40,000 investment, goes in flames within a matter of seconds. The job was going right and everything was going right till that moment. Okay, for a minute, I was thankful I was alive because I have a huge family. And matter of fact, after I bought the house, I also had another kid, which made a total of 7 kids. And the economy went down, and the job started, going slow. And every time I call up, they tell me, well, we don't need this week, we're slow. Or they sent you with a load, and then you sit 2-3 days till you get another load. And anyway, it wasn't going good at all. And I was missing payments on the house, and I just didn't know what to do. I was taking debts from family in New York. They were bailing me out, like sending me, helping me out with, of course, it's loans. Nobody gives you anything for nothing, So, and like I said in the beginnings, I am not the type who would wait until my head bumps the wall. I wanna. So I waited. I mean, I didn't wait. As I'm working, I'm thinking of what to do next. So one day I came downtown, and that was back in summer '09, August '09. I came downtown to a place that I've been to so many times. I just can't find it. When you have too many problems, so much stress, you just don't know where you're going. I was looking for the IRS, which is around the corner from where I am right now, and to pay my highway use tax for the truck. And I'm looking for it, and I just can't find it. And I kept going around here so many times. So I look at, out of my car window, and I see the spot says for lease, and used to be Ogden Real Estate. So I take down the number, and I was so tired of the road and all the devastation I've been to. The new truck has just cost me $54,000 plus interest, and it's not going good for me. I had to pay $1,300 a month for the truck, $800 a month for the trailer, about $930 for insurance, $2,500 pretty much for house payment, utilities, kids, this, that. I was drowned. I can't swim. So I decided, you know what, this is it. This would be my opportunity. I had no money back then. So, I discussed that right away. I called my wife, and she says, go ahead. Yeah. I mean, I'll sell my gold, because she wears jewelry. I'll sell my jewelry for you. I'll ask my brothers. I'll ask my cousins. I said, calm down. See what happens. So, in fact, I started talking to Ogden and back and forth until we finally got a lease on the place. And that was in November. So now comes the turn where we need to, you know, get few dollars together and set up the place. And I was worried that I'd run out of money, so I didn't fix too much. I just kind of bought these cheap racks, and just because I was like, if I fix too much, spend all the money I have fixing the store, then I may not have money for merchandise. So what am I gonna sell? Walls and shelves? So, like I said, I bought, uh, a couple of coolers. I bought fixtures and whatever I needed. Occupancy permit over there is called the business certificate. You go to the Supreme Court, you pay your $130, and you go home with it. And then you call up the inspectors or whatever while you're running your business, so you don't really lose time. I mean, yes, you do show them plans, you work with them, and they work with you as well. Here, I guess there's so much more involved, so much concentration on the little guy trying to run a business. Like I mentioned, it took me a while. And then as far as licensing, it's so much difficult here than it is in New York. Here, you have to go through a lot. Aldermanic committees, the Common Council, the health department, this and that. It's not as free as it should be. I'll be honest with you. It should be a lot easier. And in New York, if I can tell you, like back in the 80s when I was a kid, I was going to school and I was working in the stores. And in the mid 80s, New York was like a zoo. I mean, you go home, especially where I lived in Brooklyn, which is closer to Coney Island, if you're familiar with that. All you hear is gunshots, bottle throwing, fights, curses. And, give credit to where credit is due. Rudy Giuliani did so much. He cleaned it up before he was even mayor. He was a U.S. district attorney. And Rudy, this is funny. I never voted Republican before, but I've always admired Rudy Giuliani for his work. He did a great job. He cleaned up the city of New York. He turned it. I don't give him credit for 9/11 because it doesn't mean that you happen to be there. I mean, he happened to be the mayor, that he's a hero. No, I give him credit for cleaning up New York City and turning it into one of the safest cities in the United States. That I tip my hat to the man. Have a job to do once they're caught. Unlike over here where they give them a ticket. Let's say, I'm going to give you an example. I have been shoplifted here so many times, almost sometimes once a week I get a shoplifter, and they have no mercy, the shoplifters. Once they get their hand on something, they'll grab, fill up their bags, and not knowing how hard you worked for that. And if they ever get caught, it's nothing more than a ticket, a silly ticket, $250. That if that shoplifter doesn't pay it, he doesn't have to. All he has to do is sit down in jail for a night and it's cleared. This is a shame. However, in New York City, if you commit such act, you will do community service, in which you turn into be a server for the community. You clean up 40 hours, sweep the streets. And of course, they're supervised. They don't just send them on their own, and just they're supervised. Let's say they'll pay another. They'll have someone that's specialized for that. And let's say an officer who holds 10 people, 10 offenders, take them on the street. Let's say on 3rd and Wisconsin and have them sweep all day, clean up, and he'll grade them or whatever. And if he doesn't think it's enough, he'll have them come back again and again until the job is really done. And that can save the city a lot, and will turn into a benefit, and will deter, because the harsher you are, the more you deter others from doing. Because in this case, they figure, so what? Like, if I get caught, it's a ticket that I don't have to pay. I just have to sit in jail for, if I get an arrest warrant, I sit in jail for a night or two and it gets cleared. It shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. New York makes use out of them. And, of course, it helps the public system, But had I known that my trucking business was going to go south and that I was going to come back to convenience stores, I could have done that back in New York City as well, because I have done it so many times, whether it's for myself, for partnership, for my dad. I've done it, and I didn't always make money. I lost. I came out even. It's okay. It's part of life. That's as far as New York City. Same thing in Connecticut. Connecticut was not as bad either. I feel and I think that I missed a lot of opportunities in Connecticut as well, that I could have tucked myself in a little convenience store out there and could have made money as well. I almost bought a house there, and I just backed out at the very last minute. I just thought it was too far from my family. I didn't think that I was going to wind up 1,000 miles away from my family, because New York City is home to me. As crowded as it is, it's a lovely place. It's competitive. It's active. It doesn't mean that I don't like Milwaukee. I love Milwaukee too. And Milwaukee gave me a lot of opportunities. I just hope and I wish Milwaukee would learn. Always take from other people's experiences. Cities that have risen, big cities. And the unfortunate thing is here when you talk about safety and security in Milwaukee, they say, well, we're better than Chicago. You're comparing a city of 500,000 people to a city that's like bigger than some of the Middle Eastern countries, which is Chicago. And you can't compare. I mean, this is a small city. It should be so much safer, especially right here downtown. We're in between all the hotels and tourism and conventions, and it should continue to be that way. You need to protect it. You need to put more cops out there. You need to make sure that there's somebody walking around, and don't just depend on these little independent contractors thinking that they're protecting it and keeping it safe, like just because they're wearing a uniform that they're going to keep it safe. They don't even bother to pick up the phone. I have seen it. We were trying to accommodate with the building. As you know, the building is named the Grand Wisconsin, and this happens to be the first hotel in the state of Wisconsin. It was built in 1896, and it was the first hotel, and it still says on the side of the building Grand Wisconsin Hotel, and trying to accommodate it, and we got the name from that. And we called it Grand Convenient, and I used the word convenient with a T instead of CE, and a lot of people it doesn't matter, they both the same. However, I think one of them is a situation. I'm not a linguist, but convenience, it's the same. I'm not going to argue about it. And I just remembered, because in New York City we used a lot with a T, convenient store. I don't know if it made a difference here or not. I do get upset over it, and so many times I'll turn violent. Why steal from me? Why don't you roll up your sleeves and go to work like I do? I mean, I'm not anybody's slave. I'm not gonna work all day long just so a shoplifter can come and steal it on me. I have a family to support. Anyone can make a family. It's our duty as humans is to settle down, get a wife and kids if you believe in that, and and raise a family. I mean, you don't have to be dependent on someone else. And if what's stolen is food, it doesn't hurt as much as like I've had occasions where people will snatch stuff. They will snatch it and run. Like one time I had this guy who asked me for a pack of cigarettes. As soon as I put the pack of cigarettes on the counter, he pretended he was looking for his money and watching the pack, and he grabbed it and ran. By the time I got outside, he was all gone. He hopped in a car that was waiting for him outside. It's a shame. It shouldn't happen, but it happens. And people don't understand. They think that every item you sell is a profit, or half of it is a profit, which is not true. There's rarely any profit in this business. I have other suppliers, that come in for grocery. We now have novelties, that shows pictures of Milwaukee's, keychains of Milwaukee, playing cards, things for the tourists. I'm trying to get ready before conventions start and tourism season. You need to have the capital if you want to start your own business, and then you need the patience. You need to be patient, because this business sometimes a long time no one's going to come into the store and buy anything. What to buy, when to buy, how to buy, how much to spend on what, how much to stock or not to stock, because sometimes you could be freezing money in the shelf and it's not coming back to you anytime soon. You don't want to overstock yourself and then freeze your money up in shelves and then have it go outdated on you. And you don't want to just you don't want to sell walls and apologies either, and smiles and, oh, I don't have it, I'm sorry. You can't do that, because that's not going to pay your rent. And like I said, it's a penny business. I mean, you're not selling cars or furniture, or you're selling just little things where you make a nickel here, a penny here, 5 cents here, and you'll be lucky to make ends meet at the end of the day. But of course, you need to cut your expenses as much as you can. You need to try to stretch it out on your own. If you got to do 15 hours a day, so be it. If you got to do 7 days a week, so be it. I mean, as you know, I work 7 days a week. I try to open up 7 a.m., 10 p.m. Friday nights and Saturday nights. I tend to stay towards midnight. I don't even have business hours for that reason, because my hours are always extendable. My hours will always depend on the street. If there's action on the street, I'll stick around longer. If it's just dead like a cemetery, I'll just call it a day and go home. Maybe that's not very helpful either, because people want to know exactly when, but kind of estimated time, 7 a.m., 10 p.m., you try to be, try to stick with it. And events, it's extendable during events, because without events, downtown Milwaukee is dead. You cannot stand a business on just, a regular downtown. You got to wait for events, and events are not every day. But the rent is every day, and the electricity is every day, and all your other expenses, insurance and everything else, and taxes, that's all every day. But there's not enough events every day. So it's not an easy business, and The only way to do it is, just be there on your own and be brave and, defend yourself. Don't let anyone rob you. I mean, I've had situations where I went chasing after people on the street, and I wouldn't mind doing it because it may only be $1 or $2 in somebody else's eye, but it's too much. In my eyes, it's a profit of a whole case of something else that person had just shoplifted products you want to be serving. Because sometimes you can have the wrong brand in the wrong area. Like certain neighborhoods can use certain brands and others may not. People may go for high-end stuff, and people may just go look for the cheapest. You also have to know your clientele, and people will not always go for the cheapest thing. In certain areas, I mean, yes, they would like to save, but they want a brand name. That too, you got to take into consideration, and above all that is honesty. You have to have a good reputation. I mean, it's everything. Pretty much, it's everything. It's more than your products, more than your kindness, more than you've got to be honest, because people do make mistakes. And if they do make a mistake and you jip them, they're not going to come back. Don't think that they're not going to realize, or, whether they realize or not, you have to have conscience. You have to make sure that, that these people, you got to treat them like you want to be treated, because they can also, what goes around comes around. Therefore, you have to be honest with people. Fine, you want to be, you want to raise your price or anything, just don't cheat them. If I sell this, like if the supermarket sells an item for $1 and you want to sell it for $2 or $3, it's okay, but don't advertise it for a certain price. Politeness and being helpful, try to be there for the people when they need you. There's a lot of things to it. It becomes part of your life, and honestly, like I mentioned earlier, I have been in this business since I was in 7th grade. Yes, as a kid, you could say back in New York City, where I used to live in Brooklyn, and we used to have a store right near Coney Island, and we didn't even have a kitchen at home. We used to cook in the back of the store. We used to have a luncheonette, and we cooked and we ate. At the end of the night, I went home, took my ice cream, and did my homework and slept. And sometimes I got up, and I had to open up at times. And before I went to school, and when it came time to school, I'd jump on a bus and go to school. And same thing after school. The store was my home, and I moved on, into another store, and then another store. It's all in stores. It's the livelihood, it's the childhood. I rode my bikes, I kept my bike in a store. All the people knew me as a kid back in New York City, and especially in Brighton Beach, where we had the store over there. My family had the store, and because I was the youngest one, and back then, bringing families to this country was not very famous, from our culture. It was just men, pretty much, and I was the little kid living with a whole bunch of men, like my cousins, my uncles, and I was the only one going to school because I was the kid. I was a teenager, and everybody knew me. Don't think I failed once, twice, or 3 times. I'm not going to make it again. No, you will. Just keep at it. it's about all I can say. Keep at it. They're very supportive, very honest, very generous, and I really thank them from the bottom of my heart. They have stood up for me, and I will never forget them. I mean, uh, my photographer is one of them right now, and a lot of people upstairs. They're just lovely people. The management are very nice people as well. They work with you.